British intelligence learns that Axis troops scheduled to invade Malta have been diverted to the Panzer Army in North Africa. The invasion of Malta will not take place. Malta continues to be dependent on the outside world for such things as grain, meat, and gasoline. The Germans commence starvation tactics.
When it becomes apparent that the Italian Air Force can't establish superiority, the Army says, we're not going to risk a parachute division on a suicide mission, and the Navy says, we can't cover an amphibious landing. So the Germans continue what amounts to an attritional campaign of wearing Malta down by starvation.
In June, British convoys attempt to reach the island from both Gibraltar and Alexandria. Of 115 Allied vessels, only 2 get through.
Until German planes committed to Malta are required elsewhere on the Russian front in the Western Desert, they continue an increasingly futile pattern of bombing an island that most historians agree was not that important.
The rationing of supplies takes its toll as morale sinks. Community kitchens barely feed a fraction of the population.
I seem to remember the price of an egg. In those days, a black market egg was up to about 3 shillings, which is equivalent to about 10 pounds today or something.
The situation in Malta is becoming critical if supply ships are unable to break through the Axis obstacles. Unknown to the Maltese or the British forces on the island, the English government is unable to agree on whether to defend Malta or surrender.
The war cabinet was prepared to give up Malta, apart from Churchill. On paper, the island was completely undefendable. You can actually see Sicily on a fine day.
Building on Churchill's stubbornness, one final convoy carrying the last hope of relief for Malta leaves England. 14 merchant ships carrying over 120,000 tons of supplies are escorted by 4 aircraft carriers, 40 destroyers, 2 battleships, and 12 cruisers. But the reinforced convoy is too big to conceal from the Germans. August 10th, Malta's savior fleet enters the Mediterranean. Converging against it, a powerful German-Italian force, spearheaded by 21 submarines and 540 aircraft. On August 12th, the Axis air attack hits in full force. British carrier planes and concentrated ack-ack fire again keep the attackers away from the merchant ships. But finally, 40 Stuka bombers go into a power dive through the barrage. By evening, both fleet and convoy reach a narrow channel to the harbor where protective battleships and carriers cannot follow because of limited sea room. The merchant ships must try to squeeze into the port with only a skeleton escort. The Germans seized the last opportunity to attack. Torpedoes hit their mark and take a toll on the convoy. Five bombed merchant ships limp into the harbor at Malta. They bring food, but no gasoline. The tanker Ohio, an American ship with an all-British crew, carries the gasoline that's Malta's sole hope for survival. Heavily damaged, the slowly sinking tanker staggers into harbor with its precious cargo. Malta has survived its darkest hour. After the operations at Malta, Tony Spooner would be a flight instructor and later serve as a coastal command officer in the invasions on D-Day.
What Malta did, almost 80% by our submarines in water, we sank and damaged enough supply ships to keep Rommel short of fuel in particular and of everything else, because like us, he had to have everything brought in. Even dimly at the time, I think we all realized the significance of Malta, some more than others. But I'm quite certain in my own mind there could never have been Alamein without Malta.
The rocky island of Malta proves to be the most important factor for British victory in North Africa, hastening defeat for the Germans and making the Mediterranean a British patrolled territory.